episode of Debt Nation, where we're putting death out of business. We have a very awesome episode here today because it's all the way from Nigeria. Ethiopia, actually. It's all the way from Ethiopia. We've got a chemical engineer. Very exciting. I like chemical engineers. They can always do very interesting things. It's Kelvin from... you're not from Ethiopia. You're actually from another country. But introduce yourself, Kelvin. Say hello to the audience. Say hi to everyone here at Debt Nation. And we're very excited to have you on board.
Hi everyone, I am Kelvin Dafiaghor, the founder of Ogba Educational Clinic, the chief promoter of artificial intelligence in Africa. I have a first degree in chemical engineering and MBA in leadership and management from the Accra Business School.
Fantastic.
I just left Nigeria, I just arrived Ethiopia now for AfriLab. It's a gathering of tech experts.
That's what we like to hear. That's really exciting, and it's really it's great. So we got a lot to go over your history because you're an accomplished gentleman, I think. And so let's get into that. You've got some awards for your work. Let's go through them. You're a chemical engineer. You got leadership in the background. Let's go through your awards.
Yes, I have a vision to domesticate coding and artificial intelligence in Africa. When I started my work, I said I want to be the chief promoter of artificial intelligence among unbelieving Africans. And of recent, I got an award from an institute in America, Obdena, for offering young people free laptops and data to learn coding. Because we understand that these things can be done best via coding. So I see Google, I see Udemy, I see Udacity trying to train Africans. But then their approach is not working because it is basically for the rich people in the big cities. But I am concerned about the poor people in the rural areas who wishes to learn coding, but they don't have a laptop. They can't buy data. In Nigeria, in Africa, data is very expensive. Then the next challenge they have is the power situation. So we created a hub whereby these young kids can come and learn for free and they earn a laptop. If we see their seriousness and consistency over time, we reward them with laptop. So they gave me that award for my works.
Wow, that's really cool. That's amazing, and that's what we like to hear here at Debt Nation, in encouraging people of all skills, all types, all economic, all geographic people to learn these advanced methods, so that we can all get on with the business of improving the world through these technological focuses. And if you don't know how to code in the 21st century, you're way behind on the skill. So you've done a great service not only to Africans in Africa but to humanity, in the fact you're trying to encourage these kids to have 21st century skills.
And the next one was from the New York Academy of Science. Our team, Sekola, came out second place in the EdTech challenge, solving the problems of education in Indonesia. We believe that with technology, the same kind of education that is available for the Americans can be given to the poor rural people in Warri, Nigeria. So our team proposed a kind of e-learning platform that would help solve the problem, and we came out second.
Wow, that's also really cool. Well done. I like this notion of, enabling poorer folk to have the same access and the same access to learning advantages and learning mechanisms that their city folk and richer folk have access to. I think this is really important. And what they do with these tools sometimes really innovative, because they come from a whole nother subjective/objective experience, and they can end up sorting out problems that we didn't even know existed because they come from those areas. So those two awards are really good. You've done really, really well. You won one and you've come second in the other one, and that's really encouraging to hear. And thank you for coming on Detonation and telling us that, because that's the sort of spirit, that's the sort of energy that we like to hear and like to have here at Detonation. Solving problems, to assist humanity forward. And in this case, you're talking about Indonesia and Nigeria. It's impacting the poor there in a positive way.
Yes. We must teach our young kids here about STEM, science, technology, engineering, and the mathematics. That is why we founded the Ogba Educational Clinic. I saw a gap. I saw young people getting into tertiary institution when they are ill equipped. So we created small specialized classes where we train these young teens for tertiary education.
Wow, yeah, that's good. So what else do they? So STEM is obviously really important. What's the adoption rate? So you would obviously have more people entering that school and exiting. Have you had full terms yet, enough to calculate how many people are getting through? For example, 20 people enter the class, 10 leave, or are all 20 leaving? Do you know what I mean? What's the exit rate?
The exit rate is beyond that. We are heading over 500. Basically, we go to churches and schools to promote science education. Then we also have students who come through us and have graduated. But now we are adding coding to it. But may I give you a brief history? I understand that in our part of Africa, there is internet scam and betting, what we popularly call Yahoo Yahoo. So my idea is that young people need money because government has failed them. And some of them indulge in internet scam as a way of making money. So I started a rejuvenation and reorientation campaign that will seek to reorientate and rejuvenate young people in Africa about better ways of credible ways of making money rather than indulging in internet scam and betting. Today, most young people are into betting. So we are saying because you are unproductive, you want to get money rather than put your life into chance. Why don't you learn coding? Why don't you learn cyber security? Why don't you learn Internet of Things? The tech is the new money. Data is the new wealth. So I don't want my people to be left behind in the fourth industrial revolution. That is why I am very passionate about what I do.
Yeah, fantastic. And the internet scam thing, the vetting, it's not just an African issue, it's a global issue, and it's getting more sophisticated all the time. But the Bill Gates of the world and the Jeff Bezos and the big guys who actually have all the money, those guys didn't make their money off internet scams. They made their money off following trends and computer programming and finding gaps in the market and making solutions, the Steve Jobs of the world or whatever. They didn't make it off internet scams. So if you really want to play with the real big bucks, you have to work out a business model and a methodology to fulfill customer needs. That's what is really important. That's what you have to drive home. And I like the fact that you have a mentorship program as well. So you get people who have done well. They come in, they're better dressed, they're healthier, they're well paid, and then that gives the newer participants something to aspire to, because they might be friends with both sides. They might see the mentors and they're doing quite well, and then they look at their friends who may be in the internet scam business and they say, who do I really want to emulate? Do I want to be confident and happy and healthy and traveling the world and talking about the fourth industrial revolution with this guy, or do I want to hang out in the back alley and maybe get rich or run, or maybe not, and be on the run? I don't know. And I think the mentorship program gives kids something to aspire to, something to be like, to emulate, to replicate, and that's really inspiring. I think that's a great move there.
Yes, may I add to it? There is an honorable adage that says, "Okwochoyubo, Otoyubo," literally translated means he who steals from the wise man can never get as rich as the wise man. That's the message we tell young people. How much can you really scam? Just a few dollars, they'll block you. But if you go into tech, if you learn coding, the Jeff Bezos and all that, if you follow trends, you will make far more money than scam can give to you. And beside even making money, you have peace of mind. You can travel wherever you want to travel. You can go to places without being harassed and all that. So we try to bring the benefit. We understand that yes, government has failed, parents have also failed them, the institutions have failed them, but then this is not the way out. So our idea is to try to create an economy for these young people that is outside the economy of Nigeria, that is outside the economy of Africa, so that they can begin to make money. Like if you look at the Indians today, if you look at the US, most tech companies are being led by Indians. Lots of dollars are going back home. That's how we want to be exporting our tech expert to all the corners of the world, especially within Africa,
And
to solve problems.
Nigeria. Now, I don't want to speak too much because I don't know too much, but Nigeria should be a very, very wealthy country on par with somewhere, say, like Singapore. It's got a lot of oil there. It's quite rich. But the wealth isn't being distributed evenly and fairly. It's a rich country in general, but these kids, they'll have to learn that with the current state of politics, and it's not just in Nigeria. There's other countries around the world, and the United States is becoming one of these societies as well, where the rich is getting everything and they're hoarding it for themselves, and they're leaving the poor behind. But the kids have to understand that waiting for the government to reform itself in order to spread that wealth around is not going to happen. They have to start building out and building into the global network, building into other African countries and other global networks in order to fulfill their life outside of waiting for the Nigerian government to, for example, to spread that wealth around, because it's been a long time now. Nigeria is a very wealthy country, and yet it hasn't happened for everybody. Do you agree?
I totally agree, but where I beg to disagree is that we are wealthy. We are not a wealthy country. We're potentially wealthy country. There's a difference between being potential and being wealthy. I don't want to go into the politics, but then
Yeah.
my focus is on young people in Nigeria.
Yeah.
The government has failed them, the parents have failed them, institutions have failed them. But then I want to train them, because with the coming of stream with artificial intelligence, like my place where I come from in Delta, all we see are tricycles. There are no jobs, and people keep complaining, blaming government and all that. The government too is confused. They don't know what to do. You understand? That is why we started this our campaign. The importers now see that it is far easier to import goods, because goods are cheaper abroad than producing them here. So job losses will continue. So our message is to see how we can help these young people, give them a bright future by training them and reskilling them.
Well, you're a chemical engineer, and you're well versed in a lot of this stuff. So what is artificial intelligence? What is the thing that is artificial intelligence?
Artificial intelligence is all about machines becoming intelligent. Machines being able to do tasks that were practically unthinkable before. Remember when we were children, we watched Robocop and all those movies that looks fictional. Those movies are becoming a reality. Things are now becoming automated. Robots cannot drive cars, cannot cook, cannot do works better. And human science have come to discover that using robots to do jobs are better than humans, because with humans they will get tired. With humans they will have to form their groups and go on strike and get tired, want to sleep, want to go on break and all that. But with robots you don't get that. Let's take for instance your electric fan that blows you. It will keep blowing you and blowing you. But if it was a human that is using a hand fan, he will get tired, he will come late and all that and all that. So we are having a future that is very dynamic. Artificial intelligence is by far the single most important thing science has discovered. It is more important than fire and electricity put together. You know what fire did to us? What electricity did to us? Adding them together, we say it is more important. My hero Elon Musk told us that artificial intelligence is more dangerous than North Korea. You know how scary North Korea could be all those while. So these are things we're beginning to look at. So our people don't know about this. And the kind of things artificial intelligence is capable of doing are things that our people over here see as, wow, it's impossible. Maybe you're playing God. So when I started, I said, promoting artificial intelligence among unbelieving Africans. There are lots of Africans who don't believe these things are reality, who don't believe that we're almost getting to the stage that the robot will be self-conscious. We're almost getting to a stage whereby we'll be having artificial general intelligence, robot being able to do tasks on their own. For instance, you teach a robot how to mix two chemicals, get a third color, and that same robot knows that by the time you add a fourth one, it will produce a different color. Robots being able to take their own decisions. And when these things begin to happen without the input from Africa, we will be worst hit. So
Yeah.
that's why I have to talk.
Yeah. That's yeah. This there's positives and negatives of artificial intelligence. The negatives, yeah, they can be quite bad, quite scary, quite daunting. At the same time, like you said, the positives, the work side, extremely efficient, and we're gonna have to we have conversations all the time about labor force displacement because where are there going to be jobs in the future? Now, this is an interesting concept and conversation here in the West. What about in Africa? Are you guys talking about the same thing? Are you worried about the fact that you're going to run out of jobs, or is there a different conversation going on over there, or is it country dependent?
Yes, anywhere I go to in Africa, when I talk about AI displacing jobs from us, they want to stone me. They say, what is this man going to bring here to Africa? Are you going to make, we don't have jobs, and the few jobs you have, you want us machines to take it over? But let me state this very clearly. Machines will take over our jobs whether we like it or not. The earlier we prepare to work with the robots, the better for us. But we should be more of a concern. The whole of Africa is less than a billion. That's less than India or China. Why are the Chinese not scared? Why are the Indians not scared? Because their workers, their citizens are reskillable.
Mm.
But in Africa, most of us are not reskillable. I know that artificial intelligence is taking the job of lawyers. The other day I read about AI 1 minute doctor. In 1 minute, the doctor diagnoses you and prescribe drugs for you. When this happens, lots of doctors will lose jobs, just as lawyers are losing jobs in America today. There will be an app whereby you can talk to an AI lawyer, he gives you advice, and you don't need to pay any dime. These are stark reality. We must prepare for it because it's going to rain. We must get our umbrellas. So my job now is to prepare Africans. See, this app will come and it will come. AI has the potential of bridging the gap of the developed and the undeveloped. The last time I talked about it, I told you that artificial intelligence can make the same kind of education that is available in Harvard to be available to the people in Indonesia. That's our project, eSecular. And I'm saying that with artificial intelligence, the same kind of healthcare people travel to India, to Canada to do can actually be gotten in the streets of Rwanda. Artificial intelligence is the single most powerful tool humanity has come to discover. But my fear is that Africa has little or no input on it. Little investment in artificial intelligence, too poor. And the minute you begin to invest on AI, you begin to reap it. I give a simple example. Burma has been under serious sanctions and isolation because of this Aung San Suu Kyi issue. But they just came out of those isolation. They invested on artificial intelligence and they're already reaping it. So this is a wake-up call to my African brethren, to the government, to the people, to the entrepreneurs, that artificial intelligence must be domesticated. I want them to join me in my gospel. Let us domesticate it here in Africa. Let us prepare to work with the robots. The only survival skill in the 21st century will be our ability to change jobs, our ability to reskill. So education shouldn't be the same static way it used to be. The richest man in China, Jack Ma, made me to understand that the educational system is jinxed, that it has been like this for the past 200 years, that we should teach our kids new things like teamwork, sports, music. These are the things that the robots cannot do for now. But I'm sorry to say, even music, AI is doing wonderful lots there. In painting, AI is also there. But then in America, we're already talking about UBI, Universal Basic Income. In those Western world, there are standards. You can easily work out something. But my African brothers will not be able to do that. With corruption and all that, how would UBI work here? So Africans will be worst hit. That's why the message must go around.
Okay, cool. So there's obviously some issues there, and you know, Africa is the largest continent. I'm pretty sure it's huge. I mean, we're talking about a lot of different countries, 50-something countries, right? Everything is diverse as South Africa to Nigeria to Egypt to Libya to you know, Somalia. I mean, it's a huge place, and every part of it is very different from, you know, the Congo is very different to South Africa, for example, or whatever, Cameroon. But is there a way? Because you have the African Congress, is it African Congress, right? I mean, can these bodies,
African Union.
yeah, can these international focused bodies do anything? I mean, or do you have to just talk to the president or prime minister of each country? What can we do to get the message out? Because this message has to go straight to the top.
Yeah. Today, I'm in Ethiopia. I will be doing some talk. I will also promote artificial intelligence, but interviews like this are quite important. We'll make it go viral. There are some countries in Africa like Nigeria, South Africa, Rwanda that are investing partially in artificial intelligence. But I'm saying that artificial intelligence is the single most powerful tool in science today. And it's what is powering the fourth industrial revolution. If you see UAE, for instance, they have a minister for artificial intelligence. If we must domesticate this artificial intelligence, then we must begin to have a minister for artificial intelligence. We must begin to vote in 30 to 40% of our budget on AI. It is not impossible, because those are the kind of things. If you go to China today, if you go to India today, they are voting billions of dollars into artificial intelligence.
That's huge.
Cybersecurity.
You're talking about huge numbers. I mean, can Africa really afford to, or some countries in Africa really afford to switch 40% of their budget over into AI? I mean, I understand it, you understand it, but that sounds like, if you're on the outside, a risk, right?
I don't think it's a risk to take, because the bulk of the people in Africa are passive participants of the economy. What do I mean by passive participant of the economy? They are not contributing anything. And with the coming of stream of artificial intelligence, they will become poorer. So it's worth taking. Educate them that there's going to be job losses. Spend money on artificial intelligence. Let them be reskillable so that they will begin to invest in AI. Everyone. I want to see our billionaires, Dangote, Otedola, these billionaires, they shouldn't be investing on refinery. They shouldn't be investing on sugar. They should invest their billions on AI, on tech. With our vision, our first set of students are graduating this new month of November, and they are already teaching others. Let's take this message to the poor. Tell them that jobs.
Are you a military man? Because you've got a military plan. I'll tell you that much. You're hitting the bottom. up, and then you want the top down, and you want to squeeze it like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. My idea is that these poor people in primary school, the other day I was in a primary school, I was telling them that the kind of jobs their parents did is not the kind of job they are going to meet. The world is changing. So spreading the message is very important. Then there are tech industries around the world. I want to see what Indians are doing in America and the civilized world. I want to see Africans do the same so that we can begin to export our technologies, our engineers, our tech experts around the world and begin to reap from it.
Yeah,
If not,
yeah, you're right, because we were talking about this the other day, actually, just on the Ocean Planetary Conference with Dave and Susan and Ben Zai in 2020, and we were saying, it's important that, like the West, when it developed in the 1800s, the Industrial Revolution, the first one, it's very dirty. It's yucky. It's dirty. It's all about textiles. It's all about manufacturing. It's all about producing huge amounts of goods for it's dirty, it's yucky, it's bad for the environment. It puts people at risk. I mean, a lot of children had to go up and down and lost limbs, and it was very yucky. And Africa stands on the edge of missing the first, second. I mean, it could skip.
They lost. It did not stand. They lost out in the first, second, and third. And that's
and
why
they can skip it.
Let's not lose out in the fourth.
Yeah, they can skip those development revolutions and actually just jump straight ahead, right? Is that why you're saying such an ambitious budget?
Yes. I want us to be part of the fourth industrial revolution. I want us to be part. And how can we be part? The government alone cannot do it. Like our solution to the people of Indonesia, such solution can be adopted, because the same kind of educational problems being faced in Indonesia is being faced by most third world countries, even South Africa and all that. So these kind of platform, we can revolutionize education by using the internet and using artificial intelligence. Take, for instance, there's a robot called Matia. It's an AI robot that teaches you mathematics. When he teaches the kid mathematics, he knows where the kid is having issues. If the kid is having issues where x is equals to 12, he knows that kid A has that issue, and he goes there and solve it. Our crude method of teaching mathematics is not working. We must begin to apply technology in doing what we do. Is it agriculture? Lots of money is being voted yearly, every year in my country on rice subsidy. It's not working. Simple, because the kind of way they produce rice in China is far different from the way they do that in Nigeria. So the rice in China is still 10 times cheaper than that in Nigeria. So the importers believe that it is better to go and bribe through the porous border and bring this food here. So why spend a lot of money protecting and blocking the borders? Why not invest on technology so that our rice be as cheap as those in China, and there will be no need to import?
Well, how is the financial like the stock exchanges in Africa in general, Nigeria? Let's talk about that, because like if there was a foreign investor, is it quite easy for a foreign investor to jump in to the market to invest in these companies and all that? How's the liquidity? You know what I mean? If foreign investors were looking in, and is it easy? Foreign direct investment?
It's easy to get your return on investment in Nigeria. Nigeria has the largest population in Africa. So there are lots of smart people who want to, he will easily recover its money. Basically, most especially if you're putting it into tech, into areas that are not really very competitive.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Is there so there's not much government regulation keeping foreigners out, like North Korea? It's shut off, for example. Australia is quite free and open. It's quite easy.
Nigeria is open.
Good.
I can assure you.
All right, that's good, because that'll make it easier. Because let's say if you're right, if they did do a massive switchover, I mean somebody's standing to make a lot, right?
Yeah.
But yeah,
we have a vibrant young population that is ready to work. a
Yeah.
vibrant young population that is ready to work and have been doing lots of great strides.
What would you like to see? If you had a choice, what would you like to see sort of first? Would you like to see better transportation, better health and medical, better social security services? What would you like to see a massive change in immediately if you could? Or tech sector,
Education.
obviously.
Education. I would want to see a massive change in education. I would want my people to be reskillable. I would want my people to invest in tech. I would want them to be able to change one job to the other so that they can solve African problems by themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, education. Yeah, and I mean It's a multilingual country anyway. Like most people speak some form of English, and then is there must be a native language as well, right?
The bulk of the people understand English. Let's say 80 to 90% of the people understand English.
Okay, that helps. I mean, that helps because that's the international language of commerce, right? And then yeah, so and then a lot of the literature, the scientific literature and everything is published in English. So you've already got a massive advantage there over, say, Chinese who aren't multilingual. They're stuck in that language trap. India is is the same as you. India has a massive advantage when it comes to speaking English. So that's good. So that's something definitely there. Okay, let's go through like tertiary. Like how are the different levels of schooling? Like you have this this Prussian system of schooling. You know, grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, grade 4. Would you like to see that maintained and sustained, or would you rather a homeschooling methodology, or would you like to see classes for special kids, or what's your vision when you say you would like to see a revolution in the education system? Would you change it completely for the ground up, or what are you looking to? What do you want to do?
I would want us to look at the Chinese model. Lots of kids in China travel abroad to do masters, to do first degree. You will never see any one of them studying mass communication. You'll never see any one of them on scholarship doing law. They are always going for tech related, going for things like cyber security, design thinking. These are courses that are high yielding financially. We want to solve problems in Africa. The problems in Africa are enormous. So I want to see a revolution in education because I have seen what artificial intelligence can do. A professor in Japan can be speaking my local dialect and be teaching my kids right in my office by teleporting. I would want to see a massive investment in technology in education such that young teens can learn how to code. This fall at the Ogba Educational Clinic, we are teaching kids less than 10 how to code. I want to see a virtual reality class where they can go into a rainforest and see how it looks. These things shouldn't be an exclusive right for the Europeans and Americans. These are the future.
Yeah, totally agree. Totally agree. And what about an institution like TAFS, the Transdisciplinary Gorga for the Future Discussions? Are these sort of institutions? Are there more and more of these popping up, or do we need to see more of them? Or because Sinakachi does a great job with Fearism, and the Fearism crew, and TAFS is doing a great job. What about institutions and organizations and things like this? Are you excited about these?
I'm excited about tech. But here in Africa, when you say some certain things, the church fights you. The religious group fights you. Oh, don't say this. The other day I was talking with my lady friend in America. She told me that is wrong. We shouldn't die. And I was attending a tech conference with some Nigerians, And I discussed with the tech expert, said that is an anomaly. And she just ran away. Oh, please, I'm bringing religion. No. Now, when we talk about reversing aging, some people in Africa will tell me, are you trying to play God? But come to think about it, once this technology is made available, the very rich will go buying it, while the poor will die. So I don't want us to put barrier in learning. In as much as I'm a Christian, I don't want us to gag knowledge. Lots of wonderful things are happening overseas. The other day, the Chinese were trying to mix human with, or did mix a human gene with animals, and there were lots of outcry. But then, at first, I was cold to it, but later, the scientists began to explain to us that there are lots of killings for kidney, lots of people are dying for kidney, for heart, and the heart of a pig is just as good as the heart of a human. And that if these are mixed up, we could actually harvest heart, kidney, liver, and all that, and humanity will live long. So when we talk about living longer and healthier, we shouldn't bring religion into it. Like I said, with the coming of artificial intelligence, a lot of things that were practically unthinkable and unbelievable are becoming a reality. And in all this, what is the share? What is Africa getting out of it? Little or nothing. That is why the gospel has to be preached. So I'm preaching a new kind of gospel. Africa, wake up, invest on artificial intelligence. The consequences of not doing it is that you may eventually have to beg for recolonization, because then the gap between the developed and the undeveloped will be worsened, which I don't want to happen. With artificial intelligence, we can bridge the gap.
That's that's absolutely profound. We don't want that. Well, so listen up, Africa. Listen to this gentleman right here. He's telling you how to not be recolonized, and also how to accelerate not only into the 21st century, but into the 22nd, the 23rd. You can go as far as you want. We can take off. Let's talk about this religion thing, because Africa, again, the continent, is split between Muslims and Christians. Muslims in the north, Christians in the south, sort of. You mentioned the fact that the judges either don't understand or are adverse or don't really get the tech thing. Can you expand on that? Can you expand on for that notion? Because we have a Christian society here in Australia, for example, but the judges don't rule on religious grounds. Is that what you're saying?
Okay. Let me tell you something. For instance, those who do chicken farming spend a hell of time taking care of their birds. And I tell you the truth, most of the birds eventually die. No subsidy. Some of them remember their birds before they remember God. Some of them remember their birds before their kids. They cannot even travel. Now, when I tell them that you can actually eat chicken that was not slaughtered in America, because my boss, Ran Alice, told me he actually ate chicken that was not slaughtered, and it's just a chicken breast, and it just tastes as nice as chicken. When I told a group of my friends and my church members, they screamed, Kelvin, what is wrong with you? You gradually get into the era that wouldn't believe there is God. What is your problem? Now, let's compare both. One farmer is actually rearing chicken breast alone. He doesn't have to go through clearing the physics and all that, all the stress, or the birds dying or feeding the bird. He's just growing chicken breast. And that farmer is supplying chicken breast probably at, let's say, less than $1 to the fast food. Chicken breast is what the fast food buy. And then the other farmer has to rear the birds, have to wake up very early, check the birds when it's raining and all that. That's the African farmer. At the end of the day, the African farmer's bird will eventually die, or may die, or will probably want to sell the chicken breast at $4. The fast food owners are business owners. They want to make profits. they will buy the one of $1 or less than $1. So what happens? My people become poorer. So when I tell them that you can actually grow meats from plants, what is wrong with you, Kelvin? Who are you? Who is turning your head? I say, no, I'm not an occult. I'm telling you, this is what science is doing. And except you embrace it, you just become poorer. So much money has been invested into rice subsidy in Nigeria. It doesn't work. Because foreign rice is always cheaper than Nigerian, made in Nigerian rice. Because of technology difference. My advice now is invest on that technology. Foreign clothes are cheaper than Nigerian clothes. Why? Because of technology. So why waste your time saying you are subsidizing it? Go, sit down. The difference between the white man and us, the secret is that the white man invests on technology. That is my message.
Yeah, so you want to make Africa in general an innovation hub, or and
Yes.
if and I can see, you said that it's a small population underneath China, but it's projected, the population is still projected to grow quite substantially over the coming century. It's going to be what, 2 billion people or something. It's quite big.
No,
Yeah.
I don't think we'll beat China soon. No.
All
But
right.
basically, it's not about having passive population. I'm
No,
not
I
interested
know.
in
You want
passive
active.
individuals.
You want active,
Yeah, I
engaged.
want to have active population. I want to have smart kids. I want to have smart neighbors. The world is changing so rapidly. Artificial intelligence is causing a monstrous change, of which Africa has little or no input and is not even reaping anything from it.
No.
We're not talking about smart homes. So those big houses in the cities will be useless because smart homes, you cannot rob there. You don't even have to carry key. All your house will be connected to the internet. So those are modern homes people will go for. And my hero is releasing 1 million robot taxis next year. In the next couple of years, he will release 7 or 10 or 20 million. Do you know what Elon Musk told me? He said if you're driving a car that is not Tesla in the next 7 years, you're tantamount to be driving a horse. Because Tesla has 4 years, you don't change oil. So how then do you compete with our dirty refinery and our crude method of refining crude oil? Do you know that we've been voting a lot of money in debottlenecking the refinery, turnaround maintenance of the refinery? It doesn't work. The stark reality is that our refineries are old and archaic. Modern refineries are modular. People are switching to solar. And here we are investing on oil. It doesn't work.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a problem. It's a global problem that things are moving faster than generations. Especially the power mechanism is such that especially the old bureaucracies in Western countries and in a developed country and country is that the older you get, the more positions you take. You become a minister and you become a this one and that one, and by the time you get to the top job or prime minister or president or whatever it happens to be, you're quite old by then, and you're young if you're 40. I mean, you're normally 50, 60, 70, I don't know, but by then your ideas of government are okay, but your idea about the changing rapid world of technological progress is antiquated. So your country functions in a 60-year-old head when actually it should be functioning out of a Elon Musk or somebody like yourself, or somebody who actually is in tune with the changing, evolving nature of technology and the economy, which is happening at a rapid pace, much more and you bring up the rice subsidies thing. Yeah, it might be some sort of popular policy for some reason, but obviously it's not working. And if it's not working, what's the definition of stupidity or whatever? If it's not working, you try it over and over and over again. You're stupid or an idiot or whatever the word is. But Yeah, I agree. So I guess the message is how can you? I mean, do an interview like this? That's great. You have your foundation, your education foundation. How else do you want to get the word out that Africa has to embrace technology, has to invest in artificial intelligence, has to go down the road and benefit from these innovations?
I want to make more travels, more travels. Today I'm in Ethiopia. I plan to be in Singapore. I plan to be in Benin Republic. By December, I plan to be in Morocco again. It's all about meeting the people. I
Mm.
want to be in the biggest slum, talking to them. I want to look at women and entrepreneurship. I have a program I'm working with women, Nigerian women, African women, and the program is termed Leveraging on Technology, especially internet technology in doing business. What's the whole idea? We have a culture here in Africa or probably in Nigeria where the husband is supposed to open business for the wife, rent the job, fill the job. And this makes our women very lazy and unproductive. Maybe somehow the husband gets a second wife, the love stops, the business closes. Maybe the husband dies, the business closes. So we're telling women that no, that's not the way to go about doing business. If you rent the shop from your money, pay the shop at the end of the day, fill the shop, and learn from all you do. So we want to take this gospel. We go to different conferences, we go to different forums, more of this kind of interview. We have our website, www.ogbaeduclinic.com. We talk to people, we promote, we do a lot of promotion, even though our funds are limited, but we're looking for more collaborators, sponsorship, collaborators, invitations where we can talk because we want to see Africans begin to invest in technology. We want to see a change.
Yep, I like this notion of getting women involved in tech. Women are very smart, very strong people, and you know, given the opportunity, they do embrace it. They do embrace technological change. It's just it's just they have to be informed about it, and I don't mean that in a patriarchal, sexist sense, but there's cultural norms and cultural stimuli and cultural barriers to overcome to get women involved. But once they're involved, they're team players, team participants, and they do just as good a job as anybody else. So I like this focus on encouraging women, and women they pass on their skills to their offspring essentially, and they're very good at inspiring their children to go after and pursue things that are good for them. So if they have a background and a knowledge and an information base based on something like new tech, which would be AI or innovation or Python, or they can write it or speak it, I'm sure that they would definitely encourage their offspring to pursue a healthy goal. I've done this. This is just normal. Here you go. Another market entry to support that would be children's books. We were talking about that yesterday, actually. Having some sort of this is this is the child, and he grew up, and he learned AI, and now he's rich, and happy, and everybody else around him is, I don't know, a positive story about technology that they could read their children before bed or something like this. I agree that women in tech is absolutely vital.
That's very true. That's why we're working to carry them along. It's very difficult because it's a cultural thing. So we need more enlightenment. That's why I tend to use the word crusade. When I started, I said I'm leading a crusade. It's something that we have to talk to the husbands, we have to talk to the women because they must accept this fact. They must know that when somebody is subsidizing you somehow, the tendency to be lazy is there. So when we talk about things like, are you trying to tell me that I shouldn't use my husband ATM, I shouldn't make use of my husband's money. Kelvin, what are you trying to preach? I say, no, it's not that I'm saying that. I'm only trying to tell you to be disciplined, to know that this is a business. Somebody shouldn't be subsidizing it. Don't just sit down and say, I depend. You see, culturally, there's something in my culture we say umbrella. Women tend to have this feeling that my mom used to say that often until I rebuked her. I actually came from a polygamous home. She would say her husband is her umbrella, and under her, she would be under her husband eating and doing all sorts of things. This makes the African woman poor. This makes this African woman unambitious, not being able to own houses, not being able to own company. So it's a cultural thing that we have to talk to the people. And sometimes when their husband eventually die or marry a second wife and the love goes out, they lose out completely. So our focus is to tell them, look, you are not helping yourself when you say your husband is everything. You eat under your husband, you do everything under your husband. Your husband must open the shop and run the business. You can have more ideas more than your husband, and there's nothing wrong in leading the house technically.
And the other thing is, in the modern world, especially in the digital world, which you're connected to, it doesn't necessarily mean either that they have to have a physical location where they have to open it up and pay taxes and rah-de-rah-de-rah. I mean, it can be simple as something like Fiverr or Upwork, or these, where you can, you can make extra income on the side. Somebody in another country needs a coder for some reason. They pay you $50. You write out a few lines of code. There's some easy cash there. They didn't leave the house. They didn't leave their family. There's an extra $50 for the week. I mean, it's not like it has to be all as complicated as maybe they think. And if they understand that there's definitely a huge world out there with a huge demand for the side, demand side for these sort of products. They don't have to leave the house. They don't have to leave the home. They don't have to leave their children. They don't have to leave their grandma. They can just go over to the computer. They can do a 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hours, 4, however many hours of work that they want. They complete a task for a person, and they get on with their day, and they go back to doing whatever they were doing, and it all moves forward from there. They don't have to. It doesn't have to be a big thing where it interrupts the flow of their life and their children and their families and all that. It doesn't have to be that. This digital tech world is what you make it out to be. Yes, there is absolutely room for ambitious women or ambitious men or whatever to build an office and to grow it and get staff and employees and to fulfill big needs and become Jeff Bezos. If you want that road, that doesn't mean everybody does. There's that whole other side to the digital universe, which is fulfill an order, get some more money, get some more cash, and have a little bit of financial independence, have a little bit of safety net in case something does happen to their partner. It gives them a little bit extra room to move and jive in the modern world.
Yeah, I quite agree with you. But if you know that the population of women in Africa is more than the population of men, and the bulk of the women are passive, then you know that Africa is in serious trouble. Now, the problem is far bigger than what you're even saying. We're not even talking about money yet. We still have women who want to buy a recharge card, and 12 in the middle of the night, maybe 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock, then there's an emergency. They will have to send their kids into the dark to buy that recharge card. We still have women who lose their money through payment of school fees. They don't know that they can pay their children's school fees via the internet, and they will have to go to the bank and be in long queues, close their shop for hours just to pay money. These are pains I see. So when I talk about leveraging the technology in doing business, we want to teach women what is Google Map. They should know. We still have women who travel and still make calls. Say, I don't know my location. They will have to call their husband to say, where did you say that house is? These are simple things. Facebook marketing. We should have our women on Skype. We should have our women on LinkedIn. These are little things. We must begin to develop them. But when I say these things, they look at me, oh, what's this man? Where is he coming from? You're not supposed to be in Nigeria. You're supposed to be in America. These things you are saying are too big. I say they are not too big because sometimes their competitors are not their neighbors. Their competitors are Jeff Bezos, the world's richest man. And the world is becoming so so simple and as well as complex in such a way that things, if you don't keep developing yourself, the Japanese call it kaizen, continuous improvement. Our people will continue to be poor. So I need support to really do this training for those women and make them know that let's start small. Let's introduce them to LinkedIn. Many don't have emails. I can't imagine a day without checking my emails. The first thing I did when I was coming to this hotel, I said, I hope there's internet. I check my mails. I reply my mails. We have to teach them how to, the smartphone. They have smartphone, but they don't know what to use it for. They barely just shout hello, hi. No. The smartphone is one of the best things that have happened to humanity. It solves a lot of problems. Let's teach them what they can do with their smartphones.
Kelvin?
So sir.
Yeah, absolutely agree. And smartphones proliferation was around Africa is absolutely massive. It's been a huge innovation. Look, I want to have you back on. We won't exhaust everything because when you go around the world, hopefully we can keep this up. So you can update us from Singapore and Morocco and wherever else you the islands are. Up there in the Caribbean, right? Wherever you're going, yeah. Let's stay in touch. Let's keep in touch and keep updating me on your progress. This is really exciting project. I hope you've enjoyed yourself today. I've got to run, but yeah. How does that sound?
Fine.
All right, cool. That's absolutely cool. So yeah, but thank you very much for coming on Detonation today. Yeah, and make sure you keep us updated with your progress and with your institution and how it's going in Indonesia and in Nigeria. This educational institution. Tell us how you're going talking to investors and potential innovators in the sector, so that AI and technology becomes a larger topic in Africa, as is so desperately needed, so that Africa doesn't stay poor, but can actually become the innovation hub of the world, which is what we all want to see, right? Yeah, so, and the fourth industrial revolution, that is something that we want to see happen on a global scale, but let's not leave anybody behind. Let's not leave South America behind. Let's not leave Africa behind. Let's not leave Europe behind. I mean, who knows? Let's not leave anybody behind. Let's go forward as a united globe into this and see what happens. I mean, there's so much potential there for it all to go right, and there's so much potential for it to go wrong too.
Yeah. One last word.
Sure.
The illiterates of the 21st century will not be people who cannot read and write, but will be people who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn.
Yeah. That's a good statement. I like that a lot. All right. Well, thank you very much for coming on Detonation. You've been a fantastic guest. I'm really keen to keep up with your travels. So make sure we stay in touch. And yeah, thank you very much, Kelvin, for coming on Detonation, where we're putting death out of business.
Yeah.